I guess I'll speak in English. It will be a language that everybody will understand. As Jesus said, my name is Mercedes Acitores, and I am the liaison officer between the MER program, which is a European Territorial Cooperation program, and the MPCBC MER, which is a neighborhood program. So now my questions to you. How many of you know about the MER program? Have you ever heard about the MER program? Yes? Could you raise your hand? Because it's in order, okay, it's not for you to play. It's in order to steer a bit more my presentation. And do you know also the MPCBC MED program? Yes. Yeah, okay, fine. So in case, if I'm explaining different things and you don't understand because maybe you come from other fields or more from Horizon 2020, future Horizon 2020, just raise your hand and interrupt me so we have a dynamic discussion, okay? Well, I know that you have profit a visit here in Valencia with a wonderful weather to see some study visits. You are following, I knew you were also some study visit in Nice, Lidwin, which is the program, your project officer told me a bit about it. So, well, I guess you share experience and you got a really profitable stay here in Valencia. What I will explain to you is the state of the play of the new programming period for 2014 to 2020 for the MED program and the neighborhood program MPCBC MED. Yesterday I had a meeting with MPCBC MED and they gave some hints. So what's going on for the future, so you can already start doing strategic works and prepare yourself for future projects, okay? First of all, I would like to explain a bit of the general framework. Okay, and let's see, it works this way. Yeah, okay. This is a presentation that comes from the Commission. It will be very short. As you can imagine, I won't follow the IGNITEL system. I will just go in, a more traditional way. Hopefully next time I'll do the IGNITEL system. Okay. So, first of all, I would like you to establish the framework for you to understand why the MED program had decided in certain things, because sometimes you don't understand why the program decided these priorities. Why, so it's easier for you to understand in order to develop future actions, okay? So first of all, you know that it's based, of course, in Europe 2020 strategy, smart, sustainable, and inclusive growth. That will be the three main issues for the future, for the EU cohesion policy in all Europe. Novelty will be that it will be focused on results, will be very important, and the strategic approach will be very important, a thematic concentration, and you will see how from 11 topics, the programs could only choose 4. And some objectives failed, and they're not able to be now as a priority, okay? And will be very much results orientation. That's the reason for the next programming period, indicators will be so important. And now the program is working on specific indicators to evaluate certain actions that you should show. Of course, money, we all know, we don't have that money, that amount of money we used to have before, right? Crisis is everywhere. So there's a small amount of money needs to be used very efficiently, and the Commission decided to be very, very much results oriented. And of course, all this to maximize the impact of EU funding for European cohesion and European cohesion. Okay, I told you about concentration. There are 11 themes in general for European cohesion, and the programs had to choose in their 80% of their budget, 4 of them. So they're leaving on the side many of them. Which one have been chosen by the MED? In general, research and innovation, so your lines will be able to follow. I will be more concrete afterwards, okay? This is just more the framework. Research and innovation, we are leaving on the side information and community technologies, competitiveness, and small and medium-sized enterprises, because it will be inside with specific sub-actions or sub-themes in research and innovation. That's what right now the member states are discussing. What kind of action should be included in research and innovation in order to give enough field to work to all of the institutions and organizations. Shift towards a low carbon economy, climate change adaptation and risk prevention and management. These are also called the MED. And at the end, institutional capacity building and efficient public administrations. I don't know if you have heard about the macro regions. This is the macro region. The idea is that it will be a whole, in order to be more efficient in the use of money, the European Commission had invented a new system, and it's the macro regions. This means that everything will be like in the same packet. That will be something that maybe will keep a lot of time, but I won't go more into that. Okay, well. As I told you, the 80% of the budget will be allocated in 4 thematic priorities, as I told you. And of course, there will be investment priorities. I will tell you everything relevant with the research and innovation. Okay. You know that the MED program is a transnational program, so the whole cohesion policy is 386 billion. European territorial cooperation is 8.9 billion, and transnational cooperation, where 13 different programs, will be 21% of all this money. So at the end, there will be a bit less money than it was in the future. They are considering, we don't know yet, but considering that the MED program will have from 150 to 200 million euros, more or less similar than what had in this current period. And the neighborhood program will have a little bit more money, over the 200 million euros. Okay. This only to know what's the calendar, more or less. The regulations just have been adopted the 17th of December. So after knowing when the regulations have been adopted, here we have a little bit of the schedule. Will be a maximum period of 9 months for the program to submit the program to the Commission. The Commission in 3 months would approve it, and then we'll start working. MED will be a bit, this is the maximum of timing. The MED will be a bit before. I will tell you later on. On June, everything will be submitted, and by the beginning of 2015, probably the calls will start already for the MED program. ENPI CBC MED will be a bit later on, but I will go back to that. I will just finish. As I tell you, it will be very important. All the project especially the program, will have to follow these macro regions. There are 3 macro regions working in the Mediterranean right now. Atlantic Sea basin, of course, there are some regions or countries like Spain. They have part of it in the Atlantic. So of course, Spain is being, we could say, a bit concerned for the Atlantic, like France, and that's the reason that the MED program also has to take into account what's going on in the Atlantic, because the whole country will be divided in different areas, so we cannot just avoid what's going on in the Atlantic. The Adriatic-Ionian macro region, that will be the eastern part of Italy and Greece and the EPA countries, and then Danube also, which Italy is also concerned, and Slovenia, which is also a MED partner, is also concerned. So I tell you that this is it's quite difficult to establish a program. It's only a framework for you to understand what's going on in the MED. It's not only a matter of deciding which priorities, we have to take into account what's going on in the area, in the whole area. And of course, we have to take into account links with other programs, as Horizon, as COSME, and other specific, the regional operational programs also have to be taken into account in order to complement and not to overlap activities. Are you following me? Yes? Okay. Because I see your face, I don't know if because it's just before having a coffee or... Okay then, fine. The needs, of course, and strategic orientation, that's the needs for the future. Strategic orientation, a targeted approach, that will be important for you whenever you are submitting a proposal, okay? Targeted approach, not shopping list of small projects. That will be a big difference. Until now, there were small projects, small in maybe 1 million euros. Now we're with less projects, but higher amount of money, much more strategic, okay, and targeted to really specific needs, taking into account the regional operational programs. What's going on in Valencia regional operational program, for example. Okay. That. Okay, I didn't finish, sorry. Okay, let's go. How the thematic priorities have been chosen until now in the MED. It's a whole long process. We are from 2 years working and having task force meetings to decide on the priorities. First of all, there was a territorial diagnosis based on the 2020 strategy. We saw here the needs of the Mediterranean areas, and they made some interviews, they checked the projects, they checked other projects, operational programs. After all this territorial diagnosis, we had the first national consultations. We asked the national authorities, we asked their ministries, what are their priority, their lines for the future, and if they agreed with this territorial diagnosis. After that, we had the first draft of the operational program from the MED. Then we had a stakeholders consultation. Many of you, you're a bit involved in the MED, you know that we had a consultation on the website, and you had to give your inputs. All those inputs, did you give your inputs?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, because really they were taken into account, very much so. And with those inputs, I was going to go to the stakeholders consultation, but I don't want to be very long. We had a second draft of the operational program, and now in February, 18th of February, and in April, we will have the final discussions, deciding, for example, in the indicators, the budget of each priority, how much budget, structures, all that kind of things. In order for in around June to send it to the Commission. These are the priorities yet under discussion. I have to tell you that this morning I got an email because the member states are being very active, and yesterday was the deadline giving some improvements, okay? So, well, this is more or less a thematic objective, innovation and capacity to develop smart and sustainable growth. The investment priority will be promoting business investment and innovation and research. I will give you some, for example, some hints of the kind of actions they will ask in the future. Sorry, I didn't put them, but because it was this morning, they just sent it to me I just printed. Designing common approaches and at transnational level for innovation systems and processes, using novel economic models and public and private partnerships, supporting private sector. It will be important, as you know, the MED program didn't accept the private sector. It will change for the future, and the private sector will be able to participate with private funding. I think that's one of the main improvements for the program for the future, okay? Developing, I will keep on with these actions for innovation specifically, okay? Developing or identifying, benchmarking and adapting services and decision support for tools for innovation, drafting public policies for innovation. Then will be also another part for pilot demonstration activities, like testing, improvement, transnational innovation system of processes in key sectors. There will be also, important will be training systems. I don't want to keep on, maybe if I could send it to you, Jesus, and maybe you could send it to the rest if you want. So I don't keep reading, but the lines, they're already more or less established with no discussions in the member states. They all are agreeing. But I think the most important in this sector is that the private sector will be able to participate. I think that's very interesting. Okay, other thematics, for example, low carbon strategies and energy efficiency. That's very important, especially because there's a line for energy efficiency in buildings, energy efficiency and innovation. I mean, here's a great field of work that you're able to keep on doing, okay? I think that, and here's not set, because in the area of low carbon strategies, it was very much towards urban situation, urban transport. Okay, a great change yesterday was transport is already included. It has been, I don't know if anybody of you have any contact with the ports, or are you working with ports? Okay, it's good news you can send that ports already are included again. It wasn't a no, it was a whole no. But Italy, Spain, Greece, they were supporting the idea of transport, not only maritime transport, but intermodal transport. At least ports, they're able to work. and they have a field of intervention here. Okay, we got protecting Mediterranean natural and cultural resources. Here, culture will be very important. The Med, as you know, in this previous, or this current, better say, the current period, culture was only an Act 4, not a lot of culture. Here, was very specifically and underlined the importance of culture as a resource in the Mediterranean. I mean, creative industries will be able to, very, very important, creative industries for thematic 1, okay? That will be one of the fields and actions, creative industries. But also culture, heritage will be also considered as a resource in the Mediterranean, okay? And finally, enhancing Mediterranean governance with the macro regions. But maybe that will be more towards regions. And what another novelty will be the eligible regions. They are the same regions that previously, but 3 more have been added. Lisbon, which is very Mediterranean, Midi-Pyrénées, which is, well, all this had a lot of it was a big discussion because Lisbon is not a Mediterranean region by anyhow, but it was a discussion. Sometimes you need, Portugal proposing Lisbon as a region, Midi-Pyrénées, and Val d'Aosta, which is very alpine and not very Mediterranean, but yeah, okay, well, it's fine. Timetable for the Med. February 2014, we'll have next task force. Well, as I told you, indicator will be decided, budget allocation is starting to be comment. I have to tell you that innovation will have the highest budget allocation, okay? So that's something for sure. June 2014, the first draft will be sent to the European Commission. 3 months for revision, and hopefully, and if everything's all okay, by the beginning of 2015, the starting new Med. Call probably mid-15, 2015. I don't think before, but for you to know, there won't be any call before, okay? The last call was the maritime approach. That's just has been closed and during the 10th of January. Okay, let's go now to the neighborhood program. The Med is quite more advanced than the neighborhood program. Why? Because it's a different policy. One is European cohesion policy and the other one is neighborhood policy. The regulation for the neighborhood policy is not approved yet. So it's normal they go a bit behind. It's not because, they are slow. It's because it's normal that the neighborhood policy always goes a bit behind. Yesterday we had a meeting with Anna Kate, who's the responsible and the future managing authority for the ENPI CPC Med, will remain in Sardinia. I have to tell you that the Med will remain in Marseille. The the managing authorities and secretaries will keep on like in this period. We were yesterday talking, and well, she explained more or less that they also had a consultation process, a SWOT analysis consultation process. Then they selected a few topics. I will go now back to the decision. They also had, and then went back to national consultations. With the southern countries, it's difficult because they are really taking they're living a hard situation in their area. I mean, not economically, but socially. So sometimes the discussion, sometimes there are one priority, then changes, the priority keeps changing, so, well, it's a bit complicated. And as I could tell you here, they have to choose at least one of these overarching objectives. These are objectives settled by the Commission, okay? They had to choose 2 of them: promote economic and social development in regions, address common challenges in environment, and mobility. And as a horizontal strand, which is very important, people to people as a modality for achieving all. That will be horizontal, okay? 4th, they have to choose again concentration. Here again, it's important, concentration and flexibility. 4 thematic objectives of the 11. And you can see it all here. By now, the sub-actions are not chosen yet, but they have decided already these main priorities. They will go for the overarching objectives, promote economic and social development in the regions, and an environment, public health, and they deleted prevention and fight against crime. They deleted that. Some southern countries, they decided not to go for that. And these are the, we could say, the thematic priorities: business and SMEs development, support education, research, technological development and innovation, promotion of social inclusion and fighting against poverty, and in environmental protection and climate change. So, sorry I said 11, now I are 9. It's because they deleted 2 and okay? But these are the priorities for the future MER. I cannot tell you about actions because they haven't decided that yet. They have other, cannot see very well, they have other 2 meetings. One will be in March and the other one will be for November. About the calendar starting, I don't think that before that the end of 2015, MP will launch any call. We have to think that maybe 6 months after the European Territorial Cooperation, you know, more or less, 6 months later on. So this is the information. You have here both programs' website, you know probably on it, and here's my email in case you need any question. So I don't know if you have any questions. Or it's just no. Okay. But you got the message, right? Okay.
Any questions?
Maybe during the coffee?
I think all the people wanted the coffee. The coffee, 15 minutes and continues with the... No? No?
Empezamos con las presentaciones y luego ya...
Sí. ¿Esta representation? What? The boss?
I will stay here until 2 o'clock, so if I will take any more.
Okay.
May I ask one question?
Just one question.
Introduce myself. I'm Stefano Munoz. I'm representing MEMA, the Malta Intelligent Energy Agency. And I would like to ask, during your presentation of the next programs, you talk about that the next project will be bigger, more complex, with more intense objectives, and so you maybe I don't understand well, but you say that also that there will be less small project, so there will be for the same amount of money you will finance less proposal. I understood well.
I think that's the idea for the Commission.
Okay.
That's the idea of the Commission. I mean, the bigger projects, more strategic, more concentrated on the real needs, and less small projects. And of course, they do something, but it's less take into account. It's true that in the Mediterranean area, considering MED and that's only for the MED. I think that the neighborhood program will follow similar, but not that much, because a neighborhood policy is completely different, okay? But a Mediterranean area will work in a different way. But I think that will be the approach, and that will be the exigencies of the.
So the whole project is moving to only strategic challenge. It's only strategic.
You have to take into account what's the real need in the territory, and if that's strategic for you, it is that, yeah. But really take into account the real need and how you are going to go and go straight to the.
So there won't be the same difference that we had before, the strategic calls and the normal.
No, probably yes.
Calls.
Or maybe, I don't know, the strategic calls and classic calls. I think there will be many targeted calls.
Okay.
Maybe more focus on target, but that's something that will be discussed in the future. So if Jesus invite me in 2 months or 3 months, I'll come and explain.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other question?